We've got 354 reasons to love Tom Izzo. But him not throwing a chair at Jackson Kohler for missing his last 2 free throws is not one of them. You're listening to Can't Read, Can't Write. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Can't Read, Can't Write, the podcast that proves Spartans can talk. I'm Mike Jones, joined as always by the guy who had the decency to join me. Guys, all right. I'm joined by Kevin Greck, who didn't read the outline, and Alex Plum, who contributed just the cold open and not the second piece of homework that is normally assigned to him because he's jet lagged from Africa.
To be fair, I didn't know when you were in Michigan because I couldn't be bothered to know.
Or apparently listen to last week's episode.
Nothing.
It's fine. It's not like he's been sitting on a big flying tube going through space for long periods of time. No, nothing.
Or having a flight postponed overnight where he could have listened.
Listen.
Opportunities.
I was hyper vigilant scanning the skies for Black Hawk helicopters along our flight path, so I don't want to be responsible for any listening or not listening that may or may not have happened.
Wow. What a forced joke about just a national tragedy that took place. But I guess that's just who
making
we are
himself the
now.
hero in all of that.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Always making himself the hero.
Thank you
these
for
situations.
seeing me. Thank you for letting me be seen.
You are a hero in calling out Tom's missing the opportunity for an homage of his old friend.
100%. 100%. I like how he said how Tom didn't say he was his friend. He said he was our friend. Our friend. In the general our. Like, good job, Tom. Well handled.
There is a Juddism about Bobby Knight coming up to him and saying something like, I don't have many friends in this business or something like that. And Judd said something along the lines of, I think you've got one fewer than you thought you did. I don't remember the exact Juddism, but anyway.
Awesome.
Good to have you back, listener guest.
You were missed.
Is it just guest? He's clearly not a listener. He skipped the last 2 weeks.
So true.
It's just good to have you
Interloper?
back, guest.
Interloper.
Yeah.
I'll take interloper. I'll take a guest interloper is fine. Interloper guest.
All right. Well, thank you, of course, everyone, for listening. If we could ask a small favor, please share the pod with Spartans in your life. Rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get podcasts. Of course, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Spartan_pod and on Blue Sky at SpartanPod. And on YouTube at Spartan Pod as well. All right. Plum, it's been so long. What are we doing this week?
Well, we will lead. This podcast always starts behind the green wall where football always leads, except for this week, because we have nothing to say about football, apparently.
Teens are coming to campus. Who cares?
Yeah.
Teens. Hashtag teens. No, listen, it's February. It's mid-February. That means it's almost March, and that means we start with basketball. So we'll have a lot to say about that. Women's basketball, too, and hockey. Really the big three right now these days. We'll head off Grand River to just talk about various situations and things, preview some upcoming B-ball games, and then take your questions. The questions that you bring in through a number of social media modalities. Blueski.
I feel like I need to check the
your
email.
Blueski questions.
That.
Your Blueski, your
fuck
emails.
Twitter. Fuck Elon Musk. Fuck. All right.
We're getting into it early.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get into it any further, I am going to plug right now. Listener Mike Jones, as promised, hooked us up with some bottles last week or 2 weeks ago now. So we've got the Lo Siento Añejo here. I believe I was told we've tried the Blanco before.
Correct. We have.
And liked it.
Yeah, of course we liked it. We like all of them that we get from listener Mike Jones.
No, we've reacted instantly to some things before.
Untrue. You know what we have to say as we drink this one, right? The Lo Siento, if I'm not mistaken. You and I have to share a Jared Goff.
Why?
Goff. I believe he's in the ownership group of Lo Siento tequila. Jared Goff. Okay, that's enough out of you. What do we think? It
I'm into
smells nice.
It's
Yeah.
very pleasant. That is super smooth. Slight hint of caramel. Nice vanilla on it. Like, that's really pretty. 10 out of 10 recommend the Lo Siento Añejo. So if you see this, folks, in your local grocer, check it out.
Your green grocer.
All right, let's head behind that green wall and chat about a couple games. One very bad, one very good. Also, as an aside, in case anyone cares, the new MSUSpartans.com website is straight trash.
Oh, good.
They
That's what you
redid
want.
that. There are odd font choices for a website that are both small and overly flirtatious, I guess. Like, I don't know. It's bad.
This is like when you go to the state news website and it's like, this was designed by teens that can't imagine anyone going to it on a device that's not their phone. It's designed 100% for mobile, and it's not working for me. I'm with you on that. Okay.
Yeah, it's very bad. But it's not nearly as bad as MSU falling to Indiana at the Breslin 71-67 in a game that, I mean, to add insult to injury, but, you know, obviously Tom Izzo was going for 354. Mark D'Antonio was there. All of Tom's family was there. Kirk Gibson was there. Ish was there. Like, it was packed with people who were there to celebrate hitting 354. And my God, what a stinker of a game. Like, I mean, I think this is their worst game of the season.
I mean, all of the things that we had talked about so far about being a potential concern for this team, the bigs, that kind of reared its ugly head. We talked about Ballo and Vance. He had a game. They went to a zone. We just sort of fell apart. It's like, not only do we never run a zone or practice a zone, we've apparently never seen a zone. Stop me if you've heard that before, MSU fans. It was
Can we also say, though, that, like, Indiana doesn't run a zone. So,
No.
like, they just did that for it was almost as if a musician once told me a joke that if you have people who, like, really like you ask around, hey, do you know All Along the Watchtower, because you want to keep playing and you need to know what other songs to play. It felt like they were like, hey, did you ever play a 2-3 zone in high school? Like, and then they just did it.
We're doing it right now. Just sort of, don't worry. The important thing is we need to just make them shoot threes, and they will do so horribly and lose the game. And indeed, that is what took place, because this team ended up going, what, from the 3-point line in that game? 4 for 23.
Wait, is that I've got
23.
oh my God, this box score is truly, these fonts are out of control. The totals are smaller than the half.
Okay. Jaden Akins, 2 for 9. That is like a gift in this game. Xavier Booker, 1 for 3. Also like a gift in this game. 4 for 23 from 3. And that's how you lose. And it's going to happen in the tournament. I think this team.
Well, let's talk about it, because they didn't need to. It didn't have to be that way, because it wasn't just that they chose to take those threes. The zone was not so superior, and it's not like we haven't played other zones this year and then got good at 3-point shooting all of a sudden. What happened instead was that, you know, they didn't attempt a high ball screen to try and get any amount of dribble penetration for a guard, get anyone moving. The ball was passed lackadaisically side to side. Getting movers or defenders moving. Like, the guard play was atrocious in this game. And yes, you're right, the Senators got beat up on, but, like, this one falls on Akins, Fears, Holloman, and Jace.
And they didn't get the ball to Frankie Vidler, who proved that he can just settle right in that little spot in the zone and actually meaningfully contribute on offense. I think he only had 2 of those shots. Should have just gone back to him every time until he misses at least. Let's go. So this one,
Yeah.
that's
Doo-doo
what that was.
caca. Yeah.
Doo-doo
And what was
caca.
concerning about it, it was our fourth zone in as many games in a 3 out of 4, losing
Right.
3 out of 4. Now, not all of those were exclusive zones in sort of the way that that Indiana switched to that 2-3 and never turned back, but like everyone did some version of that. UCLA ran it a little bit. Other times just was like, all right, Cohen, shoot a 3, I dare you. Like,
Yep.
truly, I'm not going to guard you. And, to Cohen's credit, he didn't take the bait in that game either. But, like...
and to Tom's credit, Cohen currently played 10 minutes in that game. It's almost as if to say, there's not really a role for you right now.
Yeah. But, so I think the good news is, and we've got some questions about this later on, but you might have thought, well, cat's out of the bag. Everyone's just going to play zone on Michigan State now. Well, Illinois didn't. And might have worked.
Does that mean that we can move on? Can we move on from this game?
Yeah, because I don't know that there's a much redeeming to say about this game.
It was interesting. Jason Richardson came in on Twitter and said,
yeah,
I can't believe Trey's playing so little. Jason Richardson has barely acknowledged the team up until the previous game when he was here with the national championship squad. And now he's like having discourse on Twitter with the fans. He's commenting
why is
on
my
the
son in the
game and the
game?
rotations. He's like, yes, Jace needs to be on the bench.
One of us.
Incredible.
All of a sudden, Jason Richardson, one of the guys, after he was taking a backseat all season, I guess he was like, Jace has established himself. I can participate in the discourse now. But it's good to have him. I like it.
Yeah. Welcome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so let's talk about that, the Illinois game. And I do think this is, we were kind of feeling ourselves after that Oregon victory. Took that stinker against
Tell me about that.
Indiana. And then Michigan State ends up with an incredible win at probably the second hardest place in the Big Ten to play.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not the Kohl Center, it's got to be Assembly Hall, right?
You're talking about teams that places that MSU would have to go play.
Have to go,
not including
not
Breslin
including
on
the
that
Brez,
list.
the old B.
Yeah, because obviously that's first. But
Correct.
but yeah, places that MSU has to go. I got to imagine State Farm, Assembly Hall is one of the losingest records that Tom Izzo has. I've got to believe.
Sure.
And so to go there and then Illinois gets out to a 16-point lead, just shooting the lights out of the ball. I mean, it couldn't miss. And then ultimately MSU comes out ahead 14.
14. Yeah. Inexplicable. An inexplicable game. One that was painful to watch, I think. And I watched with the benefit of hindsight, knowing we were going to win. And just was like constantly going, and various and sundry noises to the meaning somewhere. I'm not sure really where to direct my ire. Maybe it's just
You should direct your ire going on the road and winning.
and winning by 14.
Go ahead. Direct your ire. Direct it, please.
No, let's be explicit about this. You were absolutely right. Illinois was fucking us up with their ability to shoot, and for whatever reason decided in the last 8 minutes of the game to just not shoot any longer.
What if I told
Brick.
you that the last 8
Brick.
minutes is actually closer to what Illinois is?
Fine.
They're actually, believe it or not, they're last in the Big Ten in 3-point shooting percentage.
Really?
They're worse than us.
Are you serious?
That's really
I
saying
didn't see
something.
that in my preview. Oh, my
double check me
word.
on this, but I am 99% on that
Was
they
there
are
a
last in the
Chiron
Big
that came
Ten.
up?
I am currently checking. Hold on. Hold on.
Fact check me live on this one.
Yeah, this
But
is, folks
they
wanna
shoot
wait for
threes
this.
and they can't shoot threes.
Well, game knows game. You know, I think for me it was a defensive failure, and I get what you're saying about the, they're going to have a beautiful night. Was that right? Go ahead,
I have an update on Michael Jones' assertion.
Kevin, please.
Wrong.
Oh,
Wrong.
Whoa, shut him
They
down.
are 311th in the country on threes, and we are 354th in the country on threes. Thank you very much.
Check in conference play.
You didn't say in conference play. You said being better or worse at threes. And I look at the full season. I collect as much data as I can. So I will now actually check in conference play. One second.
I'm sorry to everyone that's listening.
Correct in conference play. They are last. And in fact, Indiana is second to last. We are third to last in conference play from 3-point.
At any rate,
At any rate,
so my ire will just be directed defensively, and Jaden Akins, who I think he had 8 points in this game. Nope, never mind. Oh yeah, yes, 8 points. Awful, just fucking awful, and he looked awful.
Plus 13, Jaden Akins.
Don't care, irrelevant. The net, Torvik's net is minus 4.7. So eat it.
Eat that, Michael. Eat it. I'm glad we have our guests back because you come in here, you try to out preview me after the fact, by the way.
Yeah.
Then you come in here with your plus minus.
Yeah.
Eat it, Michael Jones.
Yeah.
Eat
That's
it.
fair.
And
know your role.
And Akins is beats per minute. I don't know what BPM is.
It's box plus minus.
His box plus minus is negative
Beats
9.7. He's negative 9.7 beats per minute. So just do with that what you want. That's like a heart attack. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Minus beats per minute is dead. That's a myocardial infarction, my guy. So listen, Akins he was a walking fucking heart attack. Now, he didn't have as many turnovers, I think, in this game as he generally does, but he sucked. And he sucks. And he needs to get his shit together because we need him if we're going to have any sort of hope for March. So that's my ire. Cohen Carr, love him.
I was going to say,
sweet, sweet lips.
He only played 10 minutes in the previous game. Now he has his redemption tour. Tell us about Cohen Carr.
Cohen Carr, man, some nasty dunks. I think brought us from down 16 to down 14. And that's where I like to say it all started.
I mean, Carr did seem like a real X factor in this game. His athleticism mattered a lot. Holloman had a great game, and we saw Fears benched for the last 4 minutes in favor of Holloman, and that paid off. It was the only thing I'll say about Akins is that some games you see Akins where he's actually assertive, and then some games where you at, my guy. And this was a game that Akins was actually assertive. You're not wrong that he could have done better than 3 for 10 from the field, particularly considering he took 1 3-pointer. So you'd like that to be a better percentage for sure. But he did attack early, and I think that helped set the tone for this team. The other thing that was sort of frustrating is the first 2 possessions in the game were clearly designed to go to him. Jace who's now in the starting lineup, didn't touch the ball once in the first 2 possessions. And I don't understand that. Like, if you're going to say that Akins is a dude, you now have 2 dudes on the court with Jace. Like, get that ball moving around. And that, I think, part of the reason that they got off to that slow start.
Yeah, his usage was really low. That's a good call out. We're back. Okay, I'm back on Team Jones. His usage was really low. Akins had the highest usage, and then Fears, Holloman, and then Kohler. We should talk about the Kohler of it all. And then Jace. So
Jace, lowest usage, ends up with 11 points, 3 boards, and an assist, compared to Akins's 8 points, 1 board, 0 assists. So, let's before we get to, because we can spend a minute on Kohler here, but like a couple other just worth mentioning. We saw some Kurtang in the first half, which is notable. Tang is starting to get a few minutes now, to the point that now Tom's rotation appears to be at 11. Normally we contract this time of year. Tang, no points, played 4 minutes, 1 board, 1 assist. We didn't talk about Indiana, but I believe he also played in that game and put up a 0 on everything. But Tang, just if anyone cares, I think is going to be a meaningful player next year on this team, and a pretty important one. It seems to do the little things the right way.
I'd like to see if we're going to have Tang on the floor, I'd like to see him get a shot up from 3.
Yeah, he did have a hard foul in this game, which I appreciated.
Sure. Yeah.
He
A
laid a shoulder
body.
to
I'll
somebody.
take that. Yeah. No doubt. That's why we think he's got a bright future in the program. But he's a guy that could be like a future 3-point reliable player. And I would like, if he's going to be on the floor, maybe he just starts that a little early. Maybe he starts that now. We do need it desperately. So,
but if he's going to play 4 minutes, give him one. Be like, hey, man, we're going to give you a shot. Like, the possessions aren't so precious that he can't get one shot.
Lord knows the possessions aren't so precious. We're going to brick threes one way or another. It might as well be trying them out with Kerr Tang.
Booker's the only other person I wanted to call out. Played 14 minutes, had a reserved stat line, but in a good way. I mean, I would have liked to have seen some more boards for him, but just 2 shots, 1 for 1 from behind the arc. Like, he played better defensively, was setting screens, was actually using his body in an okay way. So I don't know. Book had an okay game in terms of things that you want to see from Book. 0 in the plus minus though, in his limited minutes. But yeah, Kohler, double,
double, and 1 for 3 from the charity stripe, which was kind of the going rate for this 8 for 13 team today. It was as if
really
they
8 for 13.
They were 8 for 13.
Yeah, they were
absolutely awful, pathetic, godforsaken, mindless.
Well, Plum, I will call out that for free throws, and it wasn't perfect, but it was it was 21 for 25 against Indiana, and then 8 for 13 against Illinois. Is the moral of the story here? Brick more free throw shots and win more games on the road in the Big Ten? That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm
got
seeing.
chicken for the Illini fans. Do not like that. Actually, and then Kohler got them a second set of nugs.
Got him second. 2 nugs. The double
nuggies.
It's his own kind of double. Anyway, continue, Plum.
No, I think you made the point. And the answer to that is no. We should have won the game by an extra 5 points. So should have been 84-65.
So Kohler 10 boards in this game, and obviously going 4 for 5 from behind the arc was a huge deal.
Yes.
But 6 offensive rebounds in this game. MSU ends up with 18 second chance points. And at the end of the game, any chance that Illinois might have had of making a bit of a run, that dude said no
thank you.
Picked up, I think, 3 offensive rebounds in that one possession alone. It was the inverse of, who did we deal with this? Greg, someone picked up 4 offensive boards on us, milking like a minute 20 off the clock. Was that UCLA?
Sounds right. I don't know. That sounds like a really horrible situation to be in, and one that I would just bury deep down. But sure, yeah, we'll say UCLA.
So we did the same thing back again, and it was a bit odd actually seeing Illinois opt not to foul at the end of the game because we were still in the 1-1 at that point in time. Mm-hmm. So it was a real odd choice that they didn't try to extend the game. I guess maybe Brad was a softie for Tom and just wanted to give him his 354.
I think that's
nice of him.
Yeah, thoughtful.
Speaking of UCLA, the women's basketball team currently down 7 in the second quarter to UCLA, who just hit a big 3. So that's
yes.
And then just biffed. Just biffed a layup. Anyway, excellent.
Yes.
They're trying hard on the West Coast, the women's team. So we love that.
Yes, they are presently playing UCLA.
That was to you, Plum. Did you hear that?
No,
I got your presently. Don't worry. I have a small joy in my heart. Small tickle.
That small was very
my-
pregnant.
That's
Little. It's just a little love in my heart for you. And it will grow more presently.
So Jackson Kohler, though, 4 3-pointers in this game. He's made 8 prior to this in his career. I do think we'd all do well to. It'd be great if this was a thing, but
yeah,
it's probably not this year.
It is. This is the Kenny Goins of this season. He'll be hitting threes. He'll beat Duke with a 3-point shot to go to the Final Four. Book it here. Book it here. Kenny Goins. Kenny Goins, the reincarnation of Kenny Goins is a teen wolf. You all know that it's true.
Man, boy, child.
Yep.
That's right. I think that's right. And I'm happy for it. And you know why I'm happiest? Because he was happy. Watching his, like, when he hit that last one, I mean, it was joy epitomized. The kid couldn't stop smiling, and he kept looking over at Tom. Yeah, I mean, it was just
do you love me now? Do you love me now, Tom?
Please love me, Daddy. Daddy, will you love me now? Tom did not.
I almost feel bad. I don't really feel bad for him, but Jackson Kohler, I think 5th or 6th double-double of the season, career high 23 points, and a game that he ordinarily would have been the dude showered in water bottles as they got to the locker room, 100%. And he has to just sit there quietly and be like, "It's not about me today. It's not about me today.
Right.
It's about Tom.
It's about this old man. It's about this old damn millionaire over here." Should we move to that? Mike Jones, I have a question for you. When you saw all the outpouring of support, like the videos from the other coaches and that kind of stuff, did you cry? Be honest. Did it make you cry?
I did. I cried some tears of joy when I got to the end, and his mother got done wrapping up her bit, and I said, "Thank God Chris Beard was not on here." And then I shed a tear of joy.
I also shed a tear during the coaching montage video because Bo from Wisconsin was included in there.
Surprised me.
But I loved how old and feeble that piece of human garbage looked, and he was close to death, and I could smell it through
Where
my
did you
phone
watch
screen.
This was not
it's on Twitter.
Oh,
it's on Twitter, and I was just like, "Good, I can't wait
you could
until
tell
death
he's like in a
comes for you."
retirement community in Arizona or something.
Yeah, his kids. The Ryan gang was just there. They had put like a nice little blanket on him. They're like, "Okay, Dad, look at camera over here and say something nice about Tom." And he was like, "Oh." And Tom Izzo, coach. And he was like, "Oh, I can see the lights." And they were like, "Man, you got to do this first." And I was like, "Go to the light, Bo Ryan. You go to the light."
There was more light in Tom Izzo's mother's eyes than there were in Bo Ryan's. And my understanding is Tom and Bo Ryan did not like each other.
No, they didn't. I mean, Plum, I think we were at Breslin.
Oh, yeah.
When the banner had to stay up in the rafters.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to talk about that. It was
supposed to be a Big Ten championship banner. And speaking of banners and going to the rafters, we do have to talk about that. But like during our time in the Izzone, really, he was the nemesis, and it continued on. Like, for our time in school and then continuing on about 5 years, I would say that Wisconsin was our biggest rival in the Big Ten.
Yep.
Well, because Illinois fell off a bit after our freshman year because they were a force that year. Freshman year.
Bruce Weber's one and done kind of thing. Yep.
D. Brown.
Yeah, when D. Brown was there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Which was who was it? Who was the Illinois coach before then?
I don't know. Now I'm thinking about
Kansas
Bruce
coach
Williams.
Bill Self. It was Bill Self's team.
Was it Illinois? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Bill Self's team that then Bruce Weber took over, which also was good to see Bruce Weber in that video. But I hate Bo Ryan. I hate him so much.
Yep. Awful.
Can't wait till he dies.
Awful fucking
so
awful.
you were saying, Jonesy.
Oh, I mean, I I don't know. I guess it's a little bit wild actually to think about the number of these wins that we have been around for.
Let's not dwell on that. Let's not talk about it. That's not important information.
But yeah, so Tom Izzo, obviously everyone knows, passes Bob Knight for the all-time win record. Kept providing a bunch of caveats about how he had like an extra year to do it and probably more conference games, blah 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 blah. Shut up, Tom. Like that's a hell of an accomplishment.
Yeah.
And even if you did it in one more year, it still the level of sustained success that it would that it takes to do that. In
a league that's bigger, it's more competitive. There's more going on.
Yeah. Truly, like, because if you think about it from a brand perspective, for much of Bob Knight's tenure, it was Indiana.
Yeah.
As the brand in the Big Ten.
And you'll notice Izzo's peers, the coaches, kept calling out sustained success. Because I think that's the most impressive thing. We talk about the streak and we talk about being willing to give up the streak for a couple of natties. Like we would give it up in an instant. But it does go to show it in a league that is so competitive and how difficult it is to win every night in the Big Ten, that he has gone to the NCAA tournament every year is a remarkable achievement. And I think his peers saw that, because like better sustained success than Roy Williams, better sustained success than a bunch of those guys. And they probably looked at that and were like, how did you pull that off?
Right.
So Terrence Shannon, though, we got to talk about that side of things.
Okay. So if anyone's at least even nominally online, they have seen that Terrence Shannon was honored at halftime because what Illinois does is they don't retire jerseys. If you play there, they just eventually hang it up.
Yeah.
It is so Terrence Shannon was being honored with his jersey being risen to the rafters, and they unfurl it and it is upside down.
God.
Now, the thing is, though, they sent it up that way.
They were just like, let's continue. Let's roll with it. Maybe no one will notice, they said.
Well, someone caught a picture of Terrence Shannon, like, head cocked.
I think that someone was Chris Solari, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well done, Chris. We know you are Johnny on the spot with your camera as it relates to misfortune happening to players, and that's the only time. But it was a thing, and I truly like. How complicated could it be to get that thing? You could have gotten the cheer squad out there to just hold it out and wait. Like you could have done anything.
It is a lesson for all of us in those situations. Just acknowledge it. Just do what it takes to fix it and then move on. Don't do this whole like, well, we've gone too far. Right. We got to just continue to do the thing that's obviously wrong. Because
Did you know no
one would know about it.
He untied a thing to unfurl it. They made him go up there.
Oh, God, that's so bad.
It was wrapped up and they made him... But
I like how also the athletic director was like, and we made sure that whoever did it really got a stern talking to. Like, what? I don't. Why? No one cares. You look worse saying that, by the way.
Again, yeah,
fucking idiot.
Though I do have to ask, how did that happen?
Fire them. It doesn't matter. But just yelling at them is irrelevant. They can't do it now. They can't change it. They did it wrong. Now, it's fine if that's fireable. If it literally, it's like you had one job and you did it upside down. You don't have a job here anymore. Hit the road, Jack. Fine. 100% support that. Or it's an accident. Accidents happen.
They already feel terrible.
They obviously feel terrible. So then, you're just like, hey, if they don't, they're fired because they're going to do it again. I mean, it goes into the this was an intern. We know who this was. This was a fucking facilities intern who just found out. Anyway, they're done. They don't care and they shouldn't. And I'm sure, Terrence Shannon Jr. is an idiot and probably deserved this on some level. So I don't care. I think it's hysterical. I just think that the AD debasing himself, like, we really yelled at him. Grr. Like, you're
And
a douchebag.
The important thing in all this is that MSU would never make a single mistake in either halftime or before game entertainment or things that are shown on the video board or any of those types of things.
We
So
would
never,
never.
as an institution, we've got a
We would
spotless record on this.
We would rather
So
give out
thank
first
you.
class tickets to Austria for everyone in the stadium before we would ever do that.
Technically Western Poland, but that's neither here nor there.
You can get there from Austria. It's not really important.
God.
The I think it's, you know, Illinois honoring these jerseys is in its own right a bit odd. Kofi
It's
Coburn's going to be, I
stupid.
believe, honored later this year at Illinois as in a similar fashion. They got all the kinks out on this one, so it should go seamlessly.
Yeah.
But it's shocking to me that we're still waiting for Denzel to have his number up there, Cassius to have his, and I think if you polled anyone, they'd say, yeah, no, both those numbers should be up there.
Yeah.
But like the bar, how can you
It's
take
so
yourself
different.
seriously as
Yeah.
a program? And I would say the same thing to Iowa. We clowned on Iowa when they retired Garza's number like the next day after the season ended. You know, I understand them retiring Caitlin Clark's number, like obviously, but
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
As well they should. But you are right. Like, why is it at one program it's nearly impossible to get your number retired, and then at another
have
program
standards.
they're just like, hey, did you inhale and exhale while you were here on campus? Put it up. Let's go. Let's go.
Anyway, I think but to circle it all the way back, because I wanted to go back to the point about how good we felt after that Oregon game. You know, an incredible comeback, right? And then to have the stinker, and then we've got this Illinois game that I think we're rightfully feeling really great about. Like, Illinois is a piece of shit team, but also is a talented team, and that's a hard place to win. And
I can't believe that you would say that about a team whose radio guys invited you on to terrestrial, real life, over the air radio to have a chat. I can't
Also,
believe you would say that about
they
such
might
a
be higher
program
than
and
us
such guys.
They're higher than us in that.
They're higher than us in Torvik, for sure.
I don't
And in
understand this.
Kent Palm.
Anyway,
Ken Palm, Illinois is currently Ken Palm 19, and MSU is Ken Palm 17. Oh, no, they switched now. Excellent.
all right. Well, thank God, because their hopes of a Big Ten championship are dead and gone, while ours are not. So, yeah, I think it's worth remembering, as incredible as this game was, and it is a great win. This team is still far from perfect, and I don't know. Maybe we're all a little bit emotionally damaged, and like won't ever feel really great about a team ever, and we'll always, in the same way that you look at yourself differently in the mirror than people you pass on the street look at you. We see the warts a lot more, but I don't know. This was a good one, and I'm just trying to remember we've also got Indiana inside of us as well.
Okay, weird way to say that, but
Deep inside of
Forks.
us. You're
Yep.
Down.
So let's continue on. So the women's team is currently, as of recording, down, I think,
Presently.
8 at the half.
incorrect use.
Okay, we gotta mute his mic, Plum. Get rid of him. But they did just beat up on Wisconsin 91-71, which we love, as we established, Plum, you and I, during our time in the student section. Wisconsin was the team to hate. And hopefully maybe they pull one off on the road against UCLA. That'd be fantastic. The other thing that has happened is over the weekend, the hockey team was idle, did not play, but because of circumstances that happened in the Big Ten, they are now, without a doubt, 100% in control of their own future and potentially winning the Big Ten. currently up 3 points, 43 overall. Ohio State and Minnesota are tied for 40 because Ohio State's really, really turned it on. So the good news is 2 teams left to play. One is Penn State, one is Notre Dame. Bad news is Penn State is finding itself a little bit. So they are coming to Breslin, or they're coming to Munn Ice Arena this week. They've won the last 4 games. They played against Wisconsin and Notre Dame. They had split with U of M before that. It's good to get them here. We like that. I think when we went and played over there, was it one tied, one in overtime, and then one outright win, if memory serves?
Happy Valley?
Yeah. When we played
I
Penn
thought we
State on the
swept
road.
that for some reason.
I think one was tied, one was a win, but that tie we won in the shootout. Anyway, the other good news is Notre Dame still sucks. They are not finding themselves. So the harder opponent we get at Munn, the easier opponent we go on the road, and hopefully, with any luck, this thing gets tied up here pretty soon. And I believe Minnesota's got to go on the road. They've got a harder schedule. So shapes up pretty good for the MSU ice hockey team. Do you have anything for me, Mike Jones?
No, I don't.
Okay. Very good. Anything else that you gentlemen want to talk about with hockey before we move on?
No. I got my rant out about my problem with this team last week.
Tell us then, Michael Jones, about Mama's Mercantile off of I-94 in Clear Lake.
Yeah. We found out today that maybe there's a burger coming that's going to be named after us. So thank you to your listeners for frequenting Mama's Mercantile and Eatery.
Were we told that it'd be named after us, or that there would be they were sourcing ideas from us about potential burgers?
Oof. Well, if it's the latter, we're going to have a chat, because I'm not giving away my IP without a little bit of an ROI, which is that everyone who goes in that place needs to hear about can't read, can't write. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, go for it. Continue.
But anyway, yeah. So, look, we've talked about Mama's Mercantile and Eatery. We've talked about the food, how great it is. We do want to let you know about a special going on Mondays, which is their craft burger and draft special. It's a half-pound burger. It's sort of a Bob's Burger situation where it's going to change every week on what that special burger is. I don't know if the pun is included or not. We'll ask. And then you get a pint of any one of their drafts for $20. So that's their Monday special. Mention can't read, can't write, though. You're talking an $18 deal here.
That $20 becomes 18. Yeah.
And you know what? It's got the fries and the dipping sauce. It's all good. So, but truly, check out the menu. I know the cook there. Great work. All of it. All around. Eat it. Go there. Mention them. And mention us. Can't read, can't write. 1850. God damn it.
Great job. Let's move on. All right.
Actually,
Off Grand River. So, Mike Jones, we got a needle to thread here because there's some tension. I was just in the Great White North this weekend. But there's some tension between the United States. Is there a joke
you want to tell about the time that you spent there?
No jokes have ever been reused, and I don't have a brand new one for you right now. But I wasn't the only American interacting with Canadians this weekend. Mike Jones, what happened in the wider world of sport?
Yeah, so it's now I'm going to feel like an ass if I don't say it right. It's the Nations Cup hockey tournament thingy. It's the U.S., Canada, Finland, and Sweden get into it in hockey style. It's very exciting teams. You've pretty much taken the entirety of the NHL at that point in time and split them up into a nationalistic fervor. And boy, howdy, did it end up being a nationalistic fervor. The United States and Canada played each other and proceeded to get in 3 fights in 9 seconds of gameplay. The puck was dropped. Fight number 1.
And then gloves get thrown down.
Puck's dropped a second time after the first fight ends.
Gloves
go down. Then everyone said, okay, we're going to play hockey now. And then one shot on net, and then gloves go down. And so 9 total seconds of hockey transpired. Come to find out that the American players claimed that they were a little offended by the booing of the United States national anthem by Canadian fans. Now, I feel a little complicated here because on the one hand, having grown up in Michigan, any opportunity to shit on Canada and truly like you're good at one thing, it's hockey. So,
to beat you at the one thing, because by the
Yes.
way, USA does win this game.
3-1. It like truly.
And you'll recall
filled me-
the World Juniors also beat Canada there in the World Juniors. So continue, Jonesy.
Yeah, would fill me with nothing but joy to get some Canada jokes off because it feels good, it's right, it's wholesome, all in the good spirit of that they are a wonderful neighbor to the north. But at the same time, I can't believe they're booing our national anthem when our elected president is actively talking about eliminating the sovereignty of their country. Well, fuck off and take your medicine and take the boos. Because you know what? The national anthem should be booed. Like, if you're a Canadian, why would you not boo our national anthem? You absolutely deserve to boo our national anthem. So, to the one Canadian listener that we have,
Monopoly.
that every time I say mean things about you on the pod, I mean every bit of that, but I don't think your country should be treated this way. So anyway, I don't know. That's all I got on this one. But it was also we won those fights, and that was pretty rad too. But
it's not enough to just win the hockey game. It's also winning the fights.
Gotta win the fights. Now, I wasn't here the last 2 weeks as all of my fans on this podcast.
Boo!
Rude.
Indeed,
the
maybe
day
the
to
only one
find
with
out.
fans on this podcast.
So I don't know if you discussed Max Christie and being an afterthought in the trade to Dallas. Did I miss this? Did you do?
You didn't listen to either podcast. Okay.
Do you notice, Jonesy, that he's going out of his way to put our nose in this right now? Like, what does Max Christie have to do with this? I'm excited to see how he ties this back in to the conversation because it just seems like
This is just off Grand River nonsense that he wants to bring.
Yeah.
He wants to bring up the
All
trade.
right.
I just wanted to bring up the trade because I like that Max Christie was an afterthought in this deal, and that makes me happy.
He had a really good game.
He's had a couple really good games. I think and they're learning that he's going to be great, and everyone's really fucking happy. But I hope that Dallas is horrible for him. I'm glad that he's not. LA is like sexy and fun, and Dallas is not that.
Dallas has an airport that takes 45 minutes to drive through once you're already off the highway. That's the Dallas experience.
It's Dallas Fort Worth.
Yeah, Dallas Fort Worth Airport is.
What's the other one?
Well, Love Field is the one that's outside of Houston, I think, isn't it? Or is it Hobby? Hobby is Houston. Love is the other one in Dallas.
Yeah.
Dallas has two. Hobby is the none.
I only ever fly into Dallas Fort Worth, and let me tell you, it is an awful experience every time.
Yes,
but
it is.
I actually think, Plum, I'm surprised that this is your take because you could spin this the other way that Max Christie was Luka worthy.
I'm not going to do that.
I thought
that's not the direction I'm going to choose to go.
I choose not to go.
I thought you were gonna come in here and be angry about that.
No, I'm anything that I can try to spin as negative for Max Christie is what I'm going to do from now until time immemorial. And so that's the angle I'm taking here.
Did you see what's his name? Who's the other Splash brother? Not Steph. Who's the other guy?
Klay Thompson.
Yeah. Did you see Clay commented about that Max Christie's great? His experience with playing with Michigan State players
with MSU guys is very positive. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I'm sure.
Clay was at Breslin when we retired Draymond's jersey, and it was
also
fine.
a loss.
Yeah.
Was it upside down when we retired it or no?
No, we got that one right. Just didn't get the winning part right.
It did say Hitler though when we unfurled it. We were like, "Oh, bother! That was an unexpected third-party trivia jersey unveiling."
You said third party or Third Reich, Kevin. Did I hear that wrong?
I love Greg's like, yes.
It did say third, right? We love it. It is relevant again, all those jokes. Okay. All right. So let's talk. No one listens to this podcast for the previews. There are a couple games coming up. Purdue is coming to Breslin Center. It's going to be on Peacock for those that can't be there in person.
Yeah, that's not watchable.
This is a must winner. And also a game against Purdue isn't running away with it in the way that we expected them to, but they are having good games. Braden Smith and Troy Kaufman, they're having fantastic years. Yeah. They're a formidable team and one that we need to beat if we want to win the Big Ten championship.
Can I just say really quickly that I don't know that there's a guard. I'm sure someone could, but I can't recall that a guard has ever really gone off against this team. And that's a testament to the defense that Akins, Fears, Holloman have been able to put out there. I will be super curious to see if that defense holds up against the best guard in the Big Ten.
Yeah. I think so. He's playing extraordinarily well. Maybe not all world levels that we were expecting or people have built him up to, but very good. The other thing that we need to warn the audience about is on Friday at 8 p.m., MSU is going to go play in Ann Arbor. And that game is going to be broadcast on the Fox network, which means that it will probably have a certain commentator that cannot be bothered to even attempt to hide his allegiance to that university. So have fun watching the game at Breslin on Tuesday, and then just grit your teeth on Friday and watch that game against U of M. But these are two massive games. It's a big week for us. It's just going to be very annoying in all likelihood Friday evening.
Yeah. I will say, if you are coming from the mid-Michigan area and you're going to travel down 127 over to 94, do stop at Mom.
Ooh, good point.
And do mention Can't Read, Can't Write. You will get 10% off your bill. It's good food. All right. Should we do these listener questions?
Let's do it.
All right. First up, Graham Couch asks,
oh, God.
Do you regret dropping an episode featuring the Oregon win just before the Indiana game? Made for a weird Wednesday listen.
Jonesy, do you want to share our text messages? This is a very industry question because we absolutely could discuss this. Just read them.
Yeah.
Read them all.
At 9:34. Our podcast title seems dated AF. I said, the podcast is dated AF. He says, we're dated AF. I said, fair. Change the title to, quote, well, this aged poorly, end quote.
Which we never did, by the way. Because who could be bothered to go back into the platform to update
But I didn't put it on YouTube. So yeah, Graham. And hopefully this one, I might have been planning on talking to Greg about making sure this one gets up first thing on Monday morning, because
as quickly as possible. These things are not evergreen. The vibes are not evergreen.
Shift wildly. Next up, listener Mike Jones. Greg, where should Mike Jones go Friday night after the Penn State hockey game to watch the basketball game?
Well, Mike Jones,
Mama's
you should take a drive down. That's way out of your way. We should figure that out. Because oh no, I'm gonna be out of town Friday night. Bummer. I'm not gonna be here. Anyway, you should go to Dagwoods. We'll say Dagwoods.
Yeah. Or the Barrel. Or Crunchies. Any of them are good.
Yeah, very good.
Any of those are winners.
Yep.
Next up from Mike Jones, if you were an opposing coach, would you only play zone versus MSU? I think we've kind of already alluded to this. It seems like you don't even need to run a zone. You just need to call it.
We didn't talk about Tom Izzo's bravado, though, after the Indiana game. Tom was straight up, do it. Like, he acknowledged that he's like, this is on me. This was terrible. It was bad. But, like, do it. I dare you. He was leaning fully into play the zone. I dare you. And I was like, Tom, that's interesting. Because the last 4 teams have played a zone against you. And one of them managed to put up 50.5. I don't know, Tom.
I think that's sort of like a reverse psychology thing of like, oh, if Tom says do it, then maybe I should. Like, I think that's what he's trying for. He's so desperate that he's willing to attempt this in the press conference. But we don't buy it, Tom. Prove us wrong. Yeah. Next up from Buck Gino, if you could force Tom Izzo to remove one player from the current rotation, who would it be? Alex Plum.
I don't know.
It's tough.
It is tough. It's got to be Jaden Akins.
And it's because you want Jace to get more shots, right?
That's all. That's the only reason. No, I don't know. I mean, it's not, but I would like to. Honestly, I don't know. You know, I have such recency bias because I'm feckless. It's probably Xavier Booker, or Frankie Fiddler. So.
Well, you would have heard me say on the last podcast, if you had listened, that my thing about Frankie is that generally speaking, Frankie does all the non-scoring things that if Booker's not scoring, he can't be bothered to do.
Right.
So I'm kind of with you on Book.
If it's going to be one,
it's
probably kind of got to be Book.
Though now that Kurtang's in the lineup, can we just say Kurtang?
Can we take that abacus and move it back to 10?
Bit? Yeah.
Move it back to 10 beads instead of 11 beads. Next up from Nate C. I know we're all high on our own supply again, but will it last? Do you trust this basketball team? We kind of acknowledge this as well.
You can't. Yeah. Listen, you don't trust them. You trust that there's a process. I hate that. That's the fucking stupidest thing I've ever said. Don't trust anybody. Just enjoy the moments when they win.
They also lost 3 games by a combined 12 points.
Fine.
Well, a couple of those games probably should have been more
points.
They got themselves on that Indiana game at least back to a place where they
could have
had a shot. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like,
and Jonesy, just to push back on that, they got themselves down 15 against Oregon at home. They got themselves down 14 on the road against Illinois. Like
16, in fact.
16, pardon me.
They got to do something about the starts.
Yeah, they got to do something about the starters.
That's exactly what it is. Yep.
Next up from Nate C. It turns out we likely can't win a natty in hockey without Red Savage. I think that is an assertion that needs evidence, but we'll go with you on this. It was a good weekend for their Big Ten title hopes, though. They're at least back in control.
On a weekend off, I'm surprised you're bringing this take, Nate. Like, they didn't win or lose. The bye week just happened.
Yeah. And also, they were without Red several times over the course of the year. Like, you can't sustain many more. It reduces the amount of error that you've got, your margins. But I think it still can be done. And it's going to be a one-off a tournament. Like, you never know when the puck drops in any given game. They might have
Which is
booed your
why them
national
being
anthem.
ass in the neutral zone is a problem.
Yeah, fair. Next up from Jordan Villarreal, who are you more nervous about next on the schedule? Perdon't or Scum?
Fuck. That's great.
So this is why I'm gonna push back on your pushback. Am I worried about either of those teams?
Nada.
Yeah.
And you can't tell me that Chrysler's scary.
No, could easily imagine winning both of those games.
Not imagine it will happen. We are going to.
It's like that's
ordain that it will happen.
Crazy. Like, this team is good. Like, I don't know why we gotta do this thing.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
I don't know.
It's mid-February.
It's good, but it's also not like running away from anyone. It's
flawed. But what they are good at, they are very good at, which is why I put the Indiana game as easily the worst loss of the season, because they didn't do anything that they're good at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they only did the thing that they're worst at.
Yeah.
And finally from Jordan, we kind of covered this already. How emotional did you all get with Izzo becoming the winningest coach in the Big Ten? I'm brave enough to admit here, there were tears for me. That's big of you, Jordan.
It was, I felt feelings.
Yeah,
it's a huge
invested a lot of ourselves in this program that he has been the coach for the entire time.
Yeah,
and
this shit.
And Bo Ryan looked very close to death. There was a lot to be excited about.
Yeah, ashen is the word that we'd use there. You'll be dead presently. I think for me, I did not cry, though I was moved. But if we won a national championship, I think I would sob openly. The idea of which I don't think is going to happen, but if winning a national championship in the year that he eclipses, Bobby Knight, that is, for me, that would be I'd lose my shit.
Is it bad that I think that increases the odds of him retiring?
But that's why I would cry.
Yeah,
I want him to put distance between him and Bob Knight. Distance.
I was thinking about, and I hear that too, but I was thinking on the bike, eclipsing Bobby Knight, getting a national championship, and retiring is sort of that's when I say goodbye to college basketball. Not really, but my love for Michigan State basketball hinges in very deep part on Tom Izzo.
Really?
It's for me, it's the last thing that tethers me to whatever the before times were. I get that he is slowly and coming into whatever this new portal reality is, but looking at Calipari wearing whatever the fuck, where's he? Is he at Seton Hall now?
His Arkansas Razorback.
No one even fucking knows where that asshole is, because he can't help but jump around to wherever fucking $28 million, whoever the hell. So I'm just and he's a scumbag, which is fine. My point just is that Izzo is he represents something that has died. This sort of you love the thing that you have 30 years in an institution. You just don't see it anymore. And the fact that he's been part of that and we've had that consistency, it's tied to all of my alma mater nostalgia. And when that is gone, part of me will then die. And that is what I will mourn.
Well, Plum, I suggest we've done a lot of off Grand River discussions on this topic, maybe too much off Grand River, but we've covered these subjects, not specifically to Tom Izzo, but I think what you're getting at is there was previous ideals of college sports that are now, none of that remains.
That's right.
But Tom Izzo represents
he harbinges that for me. And so when that is gone, then I am no longer moored. I am fully unmoored, and therefore.
Is that specific to Tom Izzo, or is that just the new reality of college sports?
Well, that just is what it is. I mean, the new reality of college sports is what it is. And I think I have sat here and decried the fact that Tom doesn't know how to survive in this new reality of college sports, and get with it, Tom, get with it, Tom. But that's me just foresawing my own utter mortality and recognizing that he will retire. He won't be part of the program any longer. And it's not like I'm not going to root for Michigan State or want to be part of this thing that we do, but it's the death of, your adolescence or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I don't have to get too deep on it, but I think that's my point about like, I didn't cry for this. Like, I'm happy for Tom. Obviously, I'm not sentimental about it. I will mourn what I've lost selfishly when he retires. That's what will make me cry.
But do you think like let's say Tom
You've
makes
never displayed any narcissism on this podcast, and it didn't start today.
If Tom, if this team makes a Final Four, let's just say that's as far as they go,
Fine.
right?
Yeah.
Then, I guess my sort of, it's not a counter, but the thing that I hope for is that Tom sticks around long enough to say, you can have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
That we can pay athletes because they deserve to be paid, and we can, but that doesn't change that a team is a team, and that people can buy into development and being part of a program and leaving a legacy at a place. Because, even in the short time that NIL has been around, everywhere else has experienced a level of turbulence that we have not.
Yeah.
Who have we lost? Mahdi? Okay.
Next.
Hogard? Okay. Don't care.
No.
You're talking on the basketball
portal,
side of things.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
You're not talking about the football side of things.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. And Tom obviously has a lot of inertia that's allowed him to create that situation. But look, I'm not. I guess my point is we're seeing the front end of the experiment theoretically with football right now, which is that Jonathan Smith talks about being a developmental program, and TBD on whether that's successful. But if you come in there and if we're wrong, and everyone can say you guys are assholes for being so negative about these like no star 3-star recruits, and Jonathan Smith pulls this off, then doesn't he start to create his own inertia?
Right.
And football will always be different because there's so many players on that roster, right? You're gonna see more transfers in football forever. But my point being is that Jonathan Smith's on the front end of this, and I think Tom Izzo's on the back end about, like, you may not love our team and see warts on our team, but he kept people that a lot of other teams would happily have, including Xavier Booker, who is playing 9 minutes a game as a McDonald's All-American.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I hope that he wins enough to keep him around to say fuck you, and that there's a way to do both of these things at the same time. Mm-hmm. Though if he takes a natty this year and retires, obviously to the point that we would give up the tournament streak, I will give up Tom Izzo for him to have another natty.
Another natty, yeah.
Here.
So.
Next
Great
up
question.
from Beth.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan. And thank you, Plum, for talking about yourself and all of this. Next up, by Beth, from Beth Amaro.
Hi, Beth.
Because who else? Are they drawing straws before every game to decide who's going to carry the team? It's fun to see a different guy on fire every game, but it's also incredibly stressful not knowing who, if anyone, is going to show up. Anyone know where we can access OTC blood pressure meds in bulk?
Can we
those shipped west?
OTC blood pressure meds? Is that a thing?
Costco?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Probably.
Turmeric? I don't know.
Turmeric. Yeah. God. Yeah. Costco goes hard trying to sell turmeric supplements.
They got to get over that shit. Like,
I get a little nervous. That's the kind of shit you show up in the ED with. Like, what's wrong with him? And why does he look orange?
In the what?
The ED, the emergency department.
Oh, well,
emergency department.
Does
it also cause ED? Does
no, I'm
turmeric?
I'm just saying that's not the acronym. Some people say ER.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The people that say ER watch that on television. They didn't actually work in the medical field. I think no one really calls it the ER anymore. Okay, Beth, that's a great point.
Wow, you just got big timed, Mike Jones.
I'm not sure if you know.
Wow.
I guess.
Sit down, little boy.
Funded much longer? Whatever.
Yeah. Fuck. Yeah, not me. Beth, but great question. And I think you're absolutely right. And it is fun. It's a lot of fun not fucking knowing if Jackson Kohler is going to hit, all of the threes and none of the free throws. So happy for him. Sad for my heart. Next up, Carl, you do too much, bro. Does this image rival Purdue's empty rafters in terms? Was there a picture here?
There was, and it's the upside down Terrence Shannon.
Oh, very good.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Does this image rival Purdue's empty rafters in terms of program defining memes? I would argue that it sums up the essential off-brand try-hard tackiness of the Illini program with the same visual efficiency and NIT banner / single Final Four summed up Purdue as a perennial postseason flop.
This is the most brutal takedown question of all time.
This is awful. Thank God for you, Carl.
The sentence, try hard tackiness of the Illini program with the same visual efficiency of an NIT banner and single final. That is such a well-written.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Incredible.
Can you start doing the cold opens for us?
Yeah.
Carl?
Send those in advance,
Good
bud.
Yeah.
Lord.
Honestly,
well
Carl,
done.
we won't credit you. But
No, that's not.
But you'll have the satisfaction of knowing.
Yeah.
And you can tell all of your friends about this podcast that you listen to that you don't get credited.
And we'll give you, think of the exposure, Carl. Think of the exposure.
I ghost writ several cold opens one year.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
and
pin
the
that
answer
tweet.
is yes.
Pin that tweet,
Yep.
Carl. Pin that.
Next up from Spartan 1963, has any festivity been a bigger faceplant than the Terrence Shannon banner raising? We kind of put a lampshade on our own festivity earlier last year in football. I don't know.
But that was supposed to be, in fairness, one of those was an offhand fill time for the plebs in the stands. And
Correct.
this was we're honoring somebody. And we did it poorly and then just committed to the bit.
Yeah, fully.
It was, as they would say in the funnies, a real boner. Next up from Jason Fry, is Plum outrage that Jackson Kohler only went 4 for 5 3-point range versus Illinois? Not the thing that he's upset about, Jason. I know that he, as a proud Trump-supporting white man, feels aggrieved by any perceived slight to his fellow white man. Yeah. Is he going to blame DEI for the missed 3-point attempt? Hashtag sarcasm font.
No, get rid of your hashtag next time.
Yeah, it's better to lean into these things because they're true. And this is the truth. DEI isn't to blame for his missed 3-point. DEI is to blame for his missed free throws. The thing is, we've inculcated ourselves into thinking that we can't have it all. And as a white I have to stop now.
That a gumpy white man is not capable of making 3-pointers.
Just having it all, taking it all.
Demand excellence from everybody.
Yeah, and find someone to scapegoat if you can't.
Hear, hear. Next up from the Key Ski, Fears, Richardson, Carr, Kohler, and Zappala. Those should be the starters. And guys, if we need to win.
100%. Okay. Keith is right. And you know why Keith is right? Because Akins isn't on that list.
I was going to say there's a big glaring omission from that list.
100%, Keith Ski.
Wait, hold on. No, stop. Stop with this. Absolutely stop. Like
Kohler and Zappala, is that what you have an issue with?
You're angry
all right,
so
can you tell me that Zappala is meaningfully different than Cooper in terms of offensive production or defensive production? And in fact, I would argue that Cooper has been most of the time better defensively. And then who's shooting on this? Like, what's the situation?
Yeah.
Okay, you put a shooter on the floor.
And a mega dunker and a distributor.
Wait, what's the situation?
And a teen wolf. And Kohler.
100%.
4 3-point shots. He's the new Kenny Goins. We established that already.
I don't think this is a crazy take. This coaching staff, with the exception of the Indiana game, which was piss poor managed, but has actually done a really great job with figuring out who's the right person in the situation and in the game. That normally everyone and their brother is bitching about lineups well into the season. It's been quiet this year.
Saying these are the only guys that can play. He's saying these are the starters, and the team has started out really soft in a number of games. So I'm with the Keith Ski on this.
I'm here for it.
And no, it's the and guys in when we need to win.
Yeah, I'm also, as long as Jace is in, that's all I care about. Next up from the Keith Ski, how can a new football staff with their first full season be this boring? Yeah, we've talked about this. There's just not a lot of heat with the program right now.
Cool. Nope.
But they got some 4-star boys, depending if you squint for 4-star boys. So
yeah, two.
That's news to plum.
But one service thinks one is not, and the other service does. It's not
those are MSU 4-stars right there. You got to be choosy, but with your services. And
I wonder if the local people start saying, like, if your local 24/7 guy that's a hype man for the program starts calling it a 4-star when rivals rated it, just so that they can get the interactions.
Just so they can get that get that content out there. Next up from Thomas Abiasi, the shooting woes are almost definitely real, but could the men's hoops defense be even more real? So you're looking at your Ken Palm's number 13 defensive team in the country, which is pretty good.
That's great.
And then if we pop over to the Torvers, and then we look at conference play. Let's do that. Which it's not giving me right now. It's being difficult. I think there's a lot to be excited about with this defense.
Isn't nearly every single national championship team since Ken Palm, I believe, other than one, has been a top 25 defense?
And almost all of them have been top 10 in both. And we're top 10 in neither right now, but it's fine. It's fine.
Getting there. We're playing the hardest part of our schedule. This is when we get our cred.
That's when the efficiency numbers improve. Great work.
I don't think that the bracket question is going to come up today, and it probably shouldn't yet. But I saw this, and I'm going to bring it up now because it may be distally related to what we're talking about. I saw it in the game, Illinois game.
DeCourcy's the worst.
Okay, thank you. I just needed that. I needed that to be on record, and that makes sense because he's affiliated with Fox, and anything related to Fox is disreputable and unhinged.
Jerry Palm's the only one worse, and that's ironically the CBS guy.
Yeah, the ones that they prop up tend to be the worst ones at this kind of stuff.
All right. The math, I just couldn't, and I'm not going to talk about it any further. Thank you very much.
Things we should talk about is the women's basketball team up 2 on UCLA with 9 to play.
Whoa.
9 seconds or 9 minutes?
9 minutes to play.
Plum,
next up.
Plum brought up seating, so let's just, in case anyone's curious, any listeners, go to bracketmatrix.com and you will get a ton of different brackets, bracketologists who will project where people are at. They'll give you an average, and then you can find the rankings of people who as they've panned out. So in case you're curious.
Why is Michigan ahead of us? And I don't understand how you can be 11th in the country but not be getting at least a 3 seed. I mean, this is what doesn't make sense to me about the numbers and the math. And I hate everything, and I hate it good.
I think we can all agree that most of the people who vote on, I'm going to Graham Couch this one, but most of the people who vote on these games don't actually vote on the teams, don't actually watch the games. So weirdly, because Illinois is a media darling, we actually should do quite well this week, considering we lost to Indiana. So,
very good. All right.
Yeah.
Great.
I don't know.
Thank you.
Next up from Thomas, do you also feel a little insane telling your friends to catch up on a show so you can talk to them about it? Also, not a question, but those acronyms I listed last week were in fact real. Appreciate
remember those acronyms.
Tell us what those acronyms are.
WWJD.
It's your favorite acronym.
Why wouldn't Julie do it?
I got WDMJG. Where did Mike Jones go? Who cares though? Is there anyone, Plum, that you're like, watch this show so that we can talk about it? Do you have any of those?
In my life?
Yeah, in your entire life.
Wait, what do you mean shows? Like television
Like
shows?
television program, I think is what we're getting here from Thomas.
I don't know what that means. I watch Real Housewives of fill in the blank, all of the cities, because my husband loves that. And then we talk about it together. And sometimes one of our neighbors also watches it. And then I can talk to them about it. I, in fact, do. And I like it.
I like that you blamed it on your husband first, though.
Well, to be fair, it's his fault that I watched it. It's my own fault that I like it. Yeah. I knew enough to not start watching it as a single person.
But now that your life's over, might as well.
Correct. 100%. That's it.
All right.
I'm gonna clip that for Zill.
Next up from Ali. Are we back? Ali, are you back? How's the recovery going, bud?
Yeah, we stopped getting updates.
Yeah, I assume good is what that means if we're not getting updates. Are we back, boys?
Sure. Why not? Were we ever gone?
Sure. Next up from Mama Grooch.
Yeah, no, and I kept the formatting the same just for you because I wasn't sure if you wanted. I wasn't sure if you wanted to go as hard on this one as we do on others. So buckle up.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Mama Gooch. She just says that specifically.
As if we didn't know because it was sent
Mama
to us.
Grooch. Yes, by her. All right.
I gave some feedback on a resume this week where it was this person put email and then their email and phone number and then their phone number and something else and then that thing. And I was like, we don't need the labels. We know what these things are. It's the same feedback to you, Mom.
This is like taking a picture of your TV screen.
Correct. You don't need to use your iPad to take a picture of your phone to send it to me. And you don't need to say who the questions are from. We know. First up from my mother, who's participating in Twitter questions now.
Say the F word right now.
Say it.
I saw a clip today on social media of head basketball coaches answering this question. What is the one college basketball rule you wish you could change? Izzo's answer, the 5-second rule. I think they should put it back in so you can't just grip the ball to death. You.
Is this an iambic pentameter?
Fuck. Traveling. We shouldn't have traveling. They should just be able to do whatever the hell they want. Just walk.
So you want to watch the NBA is what you're saying.
That's it. That's what I'm saying.
Or my son's basketball practice on Saturday mornings. When he truly ran the ball down the court, I was so embarrassed. The shame I felt, and he went out of bounds to dodge someone.
Holding the ball the whole time, just like clutching
so
it.
Embarrassing. My dribble. You don't want to turn to a psychopath, Dad, but you're like,
I'll be at the
car. Loving the grip the ball to death. I don't know. I like what they've done with the charge block.
The charge block came immediately to mind, but I think it's getting fixed. I think they're doing better with it.
So I got one. They did a whole season where they did the flop thing as a warning, and then as soon as they got away from the warning and turned it, I believe, into a technical.
Yep, it is.
They stopped calling it, and so I'm more inclined to. Why does it have to be a technical? Why can't it just be a dead ball foul turnover? Like call the we see it, and we've got some dudes who are good at flopping, really good at flopping.
Yep.
Let's reward that skill set. The people who are bad at it, let's punish them.
Mama Grooch, it seems like there's an obvious one that we're missing here, but thank you for participating in Twitter questions. Let's take a question from the upper deck jerk guy now. Plum, how's Max Christie doing in Dallas? You kind of talked about this already, but
I don't know her. Not matter. Don't know her. Haven't.
I don't know her.
Unable
I don't know
to
her.
answer.
MSU just hit its free throws and it's back to being tied again with 5.5 minutes to play.
Did we mention this is number 1 UCLA? Did we mention that?
On the road at number 1 UCLA.
Number 1.
Next up from the Upper Deck Jerk Guy, do you think Gabe Brown will see more minutes with the
Who's that?
Pawnee Sharks than he did with Varese?
Yeah, I think he will. The Sharks have struggled with guards, and so I think getting Gabe into the mix is really going to be good for them. He's got real length.
It's going to hit the right spot.
And they like what he's bringing off the bench. He's a big effort guy.
Big effort.
Big effort guy.
So much effort.
Upper Deck Jerk Guy, why do you do this to yourself? Going back and forcing yourself to follow the career of Gabe Brown. I want him to be well. I want him to do well. I hope that he's successful. I also hope I don't have to see it or participate or relive any of his time.
Gabe Brown.
Yeah. You're also up on UCLA right now.
Great. This is great.
Really good podcasting for everyone listening. Will definitely know the outcome. This is a
huge game. Like let's not minimize.
And last up from the Upper Deck Jerk Guy, how long do you think it will be until you're replaced by AI, Michael? I assume it will happen soon with Groot. How long for all of you?
It's funny you bring this up.
They can't train an AI this boring. Okay, they hallucinate. Upper Deck Jerk Guy. You can't be as dull as this.
You say that, but our last recording platform that we used had a functionality where you could type in a message that needed to be read, and it would read it in your voice. Despite the three of us, and I've been assured that I'm the one who occupies the most waveform, when we typed in the words, it was Greg's voice that the AI populated with.
Are you serious? You heard my AI voice?
So he's right. It will happen soon with Groot.
So I want to apologize to Mama Grooch for those calls for the money that I made.
That have been made in my name.
Earlier. But yeah, so Grooch is going to be replaced first, but probably also weirdly.
It won't be me, and I'll tell you why. The AI doesn't even know that I exist.
The AI don't know who you are.
So I'll be fine.
The AI don't know her.
No,
the AI don't know her.
Next up. Oh, go ahead.
Nope, you're up.
All right, next up from the Upper Deck Jerk Guy is...
Try again.
Oh, sorry, Beppe Plum. I am 8 days into learning Japanese and can read some sentences.
Oh.
This basically means I'm a super genius, and all
with
Japanese ladies
great.
Probably think I'm a 10 now. I'm just me. Oh, and Horst is a 7-9. Verbs go at the end of the sentence. Okay.
Verbs
not doing the rest of it.
Sentence end go des. Now you know. Watashi wa nihongo ga hanashimasen.
All right, stop.
I just said I don't speak Japanese.
Wink. Ding.
Ding.
You must know some phrases.
In fact, I just did some, and I will reserve others for later. Last up from Beppe Plum, rant of the week. The cold. 5 years and I can return to the beach. Just 5 years. F me.
Wait, what?
All right, this is adding the mystery of someone who's we're gonna have to conference.
Let's just go with the words that he ended with, which is F me. And this is a true thing. Whilst serving in the Peace Corps, do you guys know that I was in the Peace Corps? Have I talked about that on this podcast?
It's never come up. Your colonialism has never come up before.
MGMT.
This is new.
There it is. Well done, you. There was a girl student. There was a girl student in the Capitol. Not one of my students, but one of my friend's students. And her name was F me. Just the letter F, M-E. F me was her name. That's a true story. Her name was F me.
How does that pronounced?
It was pronounced F me. It was just F me. And they didn't, of course, think about it the way we all thought about it. But
that feels so Ellis Island, though.
I was like, is it short for like F Mina? Like, did she shorten it to F me as like a gag? No. So anyway, F me, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. All right. Next up, Momopoly.
What did we find out? What did we went into our world listening
They
stats?
not have
Micronesia, F me, listening to.
EFF, like they don't even spell
They
it phonetically.
No. This was how it was spelled, and that's not unusual. You have like JS or like Jamie. Like there was a Jamie that was just JME that I knew of.
JD.
Yeah, but let's not do that one because that's icky. Although I did have a JD. My cousin was JD. All right. BS question number 1. Izzo said, quote, I'm hoping he, Bobby Knight, Judd, Gus, and my dad are having a beer. What beer would befittingly mark an appropriate celebration of 354? Michael.
Can we real quick table the question itself and start with, this is the second week, I believe, of Momopoly doing this BS question thing. Did we insult her in a particular way that I'm not aware of?
I haven't been listening.
Yeah, no, I know you're unreliable. This isn't a question directed at you. This is a question directed at that guy. Do you recall this, Kevin? Has this person reached out in any way, shape, or form?
I don't know what this is in reference to, and I
All right.
don't.
Second
really
week in a row.
now. Okay.
All right.
All right,
Keep it up. Keep it up,
and what would-
Susan.
Honestly, Banquet, High Life, or Bud Heavy.
I was gonna go with the hams, the beer, sky
There it
blue water.
I mean,
The
you first, so Labatt.
hams.
Does Labatt make it across the lake? Or is
I
it
think
gotta
it's a
kind of.
I think it's a Coors Banquet for me. A Coors Banquet.
Yeah.
No. Sure. All of these are good beers. So BS question number 2. And then she gives a bunch of dates against
Random teams.
which victory best supports Izzo's legacy as a winningest coach and why? Rank them in order or both. What? So
No.
it's 96 win against Indiana, 2024
Which was his Bobby
win
Knight
against
win.
Michigan, 99 win against Wisconsin, 2019 win against Michigan. That was the Cassius Big Ten year. And then the 07 win against Wisconsin, that was the Drew Neitzel.
And that was
bank
we
shot.
were there. We were
Correct.
there for that game, and therefore that's my vote. Drew Neitzel, he was supposed to be my husband.
I'm confused why we're limited to this universe. Like, why?
Don't
why
ask the
these
question.
games?
No, false. You have to accept the premise because otherwise your
Then I'm
brain
going to pick
melts.
19 because it's not like Michigan. That was a Beeline team, right?
Mhm.
No, that
correct.
was the Juwan. No, that was the Juwan running on the court to get teed up.
was that
Beeline
it?
was already gone on that one.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah. He.
Then that really shouldn't be there because that was a dark. You can't. I mean, beating a team coached by someone with such severe mental illness. That feels like a victory lap not worth
Oh
taking.
no, maybe that was the last Beeline. That was the. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. That's the last Beeline.
All right, then
Because
keep it on.
Juwan started COVID, right? He started the same time as Tucker. Yeah.
Could be. Sure. Doesn't matter. Pick one. They're all good.
Thanks.
Finally, from Raymond James, will any team with a zone defense beat MSU?
Impossible.
It appears that way right now. Although Tom says, try it. Try it.
Wouldn't want
Try
to face
it.
Jim Boeheim right now.
Yeah. Next up from Raymond, can we get a revised prediction for final win-loss total? Jonesy, you want to hit that one?
In the
It's gonna
Big Ten
you're gonna have to
Conference?
work that forward. Yeah, let's just go Big Ten Conference.
Well, we've got 5 games left.
I
6.
I'm
games
calling
left.
it winless. No, sorry.
Fuck.
No losses. No losses.
All right, so that's 26 and what is that? 26 and 5.
That's really good. Also, this UCLA player just totally walked and they didn't call it, and now they're up.
No, we're not getting the best officiating right now against
Yeah,
number 1 UCLA.
The number of steps that we just watched, but then they fouled and we're going to the line. Next from Raymond, can we get a finally from Raymond? If you 3 were actors in a bad cop show or movie, who would play which role? So I think
Jake Peralta.
the good cop, the bad cop, and the chief.
Yeah, I'm the chief. I want to be the chief. I'm definitely the chief.
You're
Because you're not in every episode.
I'm not
You're
in every
tertiary
episode.
Character.
Yep.
Yeah.
And but I come in with like some zingers and like a little bit of like sexual harassment just to keep it light. You know, that kind of
good.
shit.
Yep.
You could do the Captain Ray Holt, and that's not just a gay comp.
I don't believe you. You've never
But
been
it
an
is
ally.
It's hurtful thing to say.
I was going more for Chief Wiggum, but I'll take that.
You're too. You got too much intellectual prowess to be a Chief Wiggum.
Sarah. Is that
No, all right.
Oh God! All right, we're just done with the podcast now.
Yeah, that's it. All right, gentlemen. Great week of podcasting. Plum, catch up on past episodes, and we'll talk to you next week. Go Green.
Go
White.